Reporting Manager is a powerful add-on for Microsoft Excel that connects data exports in Analysis Engine's cloud-based system with reports in Excel. In this tutorial, we'll cover how to create a reporting dashboard from start to finish within Microsoft Excel using Reporting Manager for Analysis Engine. You'll learn how to set up a connection to Google Analytics, how to obtain Reporting Manager within Analysis Engine, how to use Reporting Manager to create data exports, how to set up refreshable reporting events within Excel, and how to use those events to backfill historical data into a report. By the end of this tutorial, you should be able to create your own Google Analytics dashboard in Microsoft Excel powered by Analysis Engine. Here's a quick look at the dashboard we're creating. It's a simple traffic-focused dashboard, but the principles behind it will also apply to other types of dashboards, such as an e-commerce performance report. First, in order to power a dashboard, you'll need to connect Analysis Engine to Google Analytics. If you have already created a connection to Google Analytics, you may skip this step. Otherwise, click on the Connections header link within Analysis Engine and click the Add a Connection icon. Choose Google Analytics as the type of connection you wish to add. If you do not already have a Google account connected to Analysis Engine, you will want to connect a new account. To do so, choose what level of access you wish to grant to Analysis Engine on your account. You may grant either write access or read-only access. Write access allows Analysis Engine to update information in your Google Analytics account and is required in order to use the unsampled data exports with Google Analytics Premium or to use the data import functions of Analysis Engine. Read-only access is enough to simply power a dashboard, so we'll use that for this tutorial. You also have the option to allow Google Analytics to access your Google Drive or Google Cloud storage accounts. These are currently used for accessing unsampled data exports with Google Analytics Premium, so we won't use them for this tutorial. Click Connect and sign in to your Google account. On the consent screen, click Accept to allow Analysis Engine to access your Google Analytics data. When you return to Analysis Engine, you will have the option to select a list of views from Google Analytics that this connection will have access to. Select the view or views that you wish to use in your dashboard and click Next. Now that your connection is enabled, we can move on to Reporting Manager in Microsoft Excel to create data exports that will use this connection. To obtain Reporting Manager within Analysis Engine, you'll need to log into Analysis Engine and click on the My Account link in the header. On the My Account page, click the Download Reporting Manager button to download Reporting Manager. Follow the instructions to install Reporting Manager into Microsoft Excel. Once Reporting Manager is installed, you will see a new tab in the Microsoft Excel ribbon labeled Reporting Manager. From there, you will have access to all of the Reporting Manager features. To begin, click the Account button in the ribbon and sign into your account using a username and password or a Google account. These will be the same credentials that you use to log in to Analysis Engine. Once you've signed in, you can begin creating your data exports. In Reporting Manager, there are three main areas that are used for working with data exports and pulling data into Excel. The first is called Reporting Manager and is where you manage reporting events that are refreshable parts of a report. The second is Quick Run, where you can pull ad hoc data into your Excel workbook without leaving a refreshable reporting event behind. The third is called the Data Export List, where you can manage the data exports that you have configured in the cloud. To create data exports that will pull data from Google Analytics, we'll start in the Data Export List screen. Click Data Export List to launch this window. When you open the Data Export List, you will see a list of all of the data exports that you have configured in Analysis Engine. This is the same list that is available within the web server interface. Your data exports are stored in the cloud and can be updated there or from within Excel. To create a data export, click on the Create button below the list. This will open the data export editor. I'm going to start by creating a traffic metrics report, which will report on my monthly traffic in the Google Analytics account that I linked to. Start by giving your data export a name. In this case, I will call mine Monthly Traffic Metrics. Next, choose the connection that you wish to use for this data export. I'll choose the connection I created at the start of this tutorial. Then, choose a date range for your export. In this case, I want a monthly report, so my data export will pull last month's data each time I refresh this dashboard. I will set my date range to last month, as of today, pulled all at once. Next, you can choose a segment for your data export to choose what subset of users or sessions you wish to report on. The list of segments available in your Google Analytics account will appear here. But in this case, I don't want to segment my data, so I will leave this section alone and it will default to the All Sessions segment. Next, you may choose to add dimensions and metrics to your data export. In this case, we are creating a simple table of traffic metrics that is not broken down by any dimension. So I will just choose the list of metrics that I want in this export: users, sessions, page views, and bounce rate. I don't need any advanced or formatting features in this data export. It will just be a simple table. So when you're done defining the export, as I am, click the OK button to create it. In addition to my top-level metrics report, I also want to include in my dashboard a top pages report. To do this, I need to create another data export. Again, I will click the Create button and use the Data Export Editor to define my data export. This time, I'll call my export Top Pages. I'll use the same connection and the same date range as my previous export. This time, however, I will choose a dimension, page. I'll also choose the same metrics, users, sessions, page views, and bounce rate. Because this is a more detailed export, I'll set some of the advanced options by clicking on the Advanced tab in the Data Export Editor. First, I will add a sort. I want to sort my list of pages by users, so I'll click Add in the Sort section, and then choose the Users metric and click OK. I'll also click Edit here and change the sort to a descending sort. I don't want to filter my data at all, so I will ignore the next section. However, I do want to add a post-processor on my page dimension. In Google Analytics, I have page views for my pages where query parameters are added onto the URL. That is, there are variables set after the question mark in some of the URLs in my pages report, and this makes several versions of what are actually the same pages appear in the report. I want to aggregate all of these variations together. So in this case, I'm going to add a URL post-processor to my data export. So I'll click Add URL in the post-processor section and choose the page dimension and click OK. The rule is automatically set to aggregate, which will strip out query parameters off the URLs and aggregate matching URLs together. This way I can be sure that my top pages report is an accurate representation of which pages were viewed by the most users. Lastly, in this section, I want to add a limit to the number of rows in my data export. Specifically, I want this to be a report of the top 25 pages, so I will enter 25 into the limit box. Now that I'm done creating my data export, I will click OK to save it. The data export window will close, and you'll see that the two data exports I've created now show up in my data exports list. I will close this window for now by clicking OK. The next step in creating this dashboard is to do a little bit of setup in my Excel workbook. First, I will rename my spreadsheet and call it Data. This will be the Data tab for my dashboard, which I will ultimately hide in favor of a presentation layer. Next, I'll set up the framework for the table that I'll be populating with my traffic metrics data export that I created. Because I only want to load in the data from this export, and not repeated headers for each month, I'm going to manually add my table headers in Excel. I'll start with a date column, and then add metrics from my export. Users, sessions, page views, and bounce rate. If you'll recall, I didn't actually set a date dimension in my data export. Instead, I will manually enter a column of dates. We'll start from January of this year and fill in the dates for a year. This allows me some more control over the way the dates are laid out, given what date dimensions are available in Google Analytics. Now I can connect my data export in Analysis Engine to my spreadsheet with a reporting event. Reporting events are refreshable links between data exports and Excel that allow you to pull data into Excel regularly. To create a new reporting event, I will click on the Reporting Manager in the Excel ribbon. The window that opens is a list of reporting events that you have set up. It's blank to begin with. Click on Create Event under Reporting Events to create your first reporting event. Like data exports, you give your reporting event a name. I'll call this one Monthly Traffic Metrics as well. Next, we need to choose which data export we want to pull data from. This is represented in Reporting Manager by an ID number for that export. In order to fill this in, I will click the List button to bring up my data export list and choose the Monthly Traffic Metrics data export I created earlier. Choosing it and clicking OK will automatically fill in the ID box with my export. Next, I choose the spawn cell I want to drop my data into. In this case, I want the data for my table to start at cell B2. I can also choose which sheet I want the data to appear on, which will be data in this case. I can then choose the spawn direction for my reporting event. This is the direction in which subsequent data will appear on each refresh of my reporting event. In this case, I'll choose vertical because I want my data to load up and down into the table, with each new month of data appearing below the previous month. Under Formatting, I will uncheck the option to include the column headers with each pull. I already typed these in manually, so I don't want them to appear above each row of the table. For formatting reasons, I'm also going to uncheck the option to auto-size my cells when data is put into them. The last step in creating this particular reporting event will be to set the Smart Interval feature. This data export involves pulling data for an interval period. Each time we refresh the report, we want to pull data from the last month in a list of monthly data. What Smart Interval allows you to do is define the beginning of your data table and automatically fill in any missing data from your table. So in this case, we're setting our table up to begin on January 1. And we're going to want Reporting Manager to automatically fill in all of our data up to the end of last month. To do that, I'll simply check the Smart Interval feature and choose the start date for my table of data, January 1st. Next, I click OK to save my reporting event. Now, I can fill in my historical data using the Smart Interval feature by clicking on the reporting event that I just created and choosing Run. As you can see, this has pulled all of my historical data, each month of data, directly into my table. If I click OK to save my current list of reporting events, you'll see that a comment has been dropped into the cell where my table begins. It indicates that my reporting event, the monthly traffic metrics event, will spawn in the next available row in the column where my table is. Now, every time I click the Run button on this reporting event, my dashboard will refresh and a new month of data will be added if a new month has passed. Next, I want to include the data from my top pages data export. To do this, I need to create another reporting event. Again, click the Reporting Manager button and choose Create Event to create another reporting event. This time I'll name it Top Pages and click the List button to choose the Top Pages data export I created. When I find it in the list, I can select it and click OK. This time, I'll have my data export spawn in cell K1 of my data sheet. I don't need to enter any manual data for this one, because I want Reporting Manager to output my complete table. Because my top pages report is a single table that I want to completely refresh every month, I will choose the Replace option under Spawn Direction. This means that my reporting event will delete any previous data in my table and rewrite the entire table every time I refresh my dashboard. This time, I'll leave the column headers in place under Formatting. Because this isn't an interval pull, I will not use the Smart Interval feature for this reporting event. When you're happy with your event, click OK. Now if I select this reporting event and click Run, my table will load into place. If I run this reporting event again, my data will be replaced by the same data until we reach a new month, in which case the data for the last month will be pulled. Now that I have created my data tab, I can create a prettier presentation layer for my dashboard. I went ahead and built one for this dashboard already, and it looks like this. My top metrics are presented and link automatically to the most recent row of the dashboard's data sheet by an Excel formula. I also have a copy of my table from my top pages, which is powered by the Data tab as well. And I have a chart that plots my monthly sessions for the year. This is just one way to present the data that we pulled using Reporting Manager. How you wish to present the data in your dashboard is up to you and the needs of the people that you're delivering dashboards to. In this tutorial, we covered how to use Reporting Manager to power a dashboard in Microsoft Excel using data from Google Analytics. We started from creating a connection in Analysis Engine and then downloaded Reporting Manager to create our data exports in Microsoft Excel. Once we created them, we linked them into our spreadsheet using reporting events, and used those events to backfill historical data into our dashboard and prepare it for regular refreshes. Finally, we briefly looked at what a front-end design for this dashboard would look like. Each of the features we touched on in this tutorial are covered in more detail within the Help section of Analysis Engine. Have a look at the documentation that's available there, as well as the other tutorials for a more in-depth look of all of the features of a Reporting Manager and Analysis Engine.